The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Do you have a little one and need a stroller for your next Disney vacation? Then Kingdom Strollers has the stroller for you. They've got a great variety of well-maintained strollers that fit any need. Go to their website and check out the City Mini Double, the City Mini Single, or any one of their wide selection of great strollers. They also have crib and bedding rental as well. During every one of my Disney vacations, I can't go a couple of minutes without seeing a happy young guest in a Kingdom stroller that is followed by a parent that knows they made a great stroller rental decision. Want to see how Kingdom Strollers can help you? Go to their website at kingdomstrollers.com. That's kingdomstrollers.com. This is Mr. Chris, and I love a good cup of coffee anytime throughout the day. In fact, I like my coffee hot or cold, brewed in my single-serve pod coffee maker or at a French press. I even like my coffee both iced and even cold brewed. Regardless of how I decide to enjoy my Java, there is only one Java that I truly enjoy, and that is Expedition Roasters. Not only do I love their traditional brews such as Route 66 Tire Fix and Dark Side Roast, I love their flavors such as Bob Slitter's Brew, Charming Chocolate Cherry, and Happily Never After. To me, their coffees are never bitter, and I enjoyed every flavor I've ever tried. And did you know that Expedition Roasters also carries some of their flavors in decaf? They're perfect for that afternoon cup. You also have to check out their different teas as well, which are great hot or iced. Behind Ears podcast listeners have 2 different coupon codes that you can use as well for when you stock up. Use EARS20 for 20% off that first order. Returning customers can use EARS10 for 10% off subsequent orders as well. When you're ready to enjoy the best in pop culture inspired coffee and teas, check out expeditionroasters.com. Are you looking for a travel agent who has over 20 years of experience to take care of your Walt Disney World vacation, or your Disneyland vacation, or your Disney Cruise Line vacation, or even those non-Disney vacations? Contact Mickey Adventures by Brandy. Her services are fee-free, and she can take care of all the details for you. You know, things like ADRs and fast passes for you as well. Mention the show and get a Disney gift card if you book a 3-night or longer Disney vacation with park tickets with her. Contact Brandy at mickeyadventures.com. That's Brandi at mickeyadventures.com, or give her a call at 774-400-3541. Coming to you live from our studios on the East Coast and in the Midwest, it's the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Behind Ears podcast. I hope everybody is doing absolutely fabulous. Now, you notice there's just me on the screen right now. Don't worry. Uncle Danny is stuck in traffic. He will be here momentarily, and I thought, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get started here. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Besides, Facebook really screws things up if for some reason you don't start it within a certain period of time after it's scheduled, but that's okay. So, let's start off with a little bit of good news. Okay? I like good news. You like good news. We all like good news. So here's the deal. Some of the good news. So as a lot of you who follow us over at the Behind Ears Podcast Facebook page, as well as the as well as the WDW community page, you know that we are trying to have a little bit of a running team. And the cool part about it is that we were trying to raise more money for Give Kids the World, kind of a little last push for the year. And the cool part about it is that we had a $500 goal. And today we actually met and exceeded that goal, which is awesome. But here's the deal. Don't let that stop you from being able to donate. We have some great prizes that are going to be made available to everybody. Everybody who donates is going to get themselves a bumper sticker. That's cool. In case you want to know, that's it. Really cool bumper sticker right there. We're also got some cool mugs that we're going to give away. Make a donation. You're going to get a chance or more than one chance to enter. Hey, if you donate $100 or more, you're going to get a really cool Behind Yours podcast picture mug. It's pretty awesome. So I think that's some really awesome news. I think that it's just really, really sweet to hear that type of thing happening. And at the same time, while Jessica, our fashionista of the group, so to speak, she's the one that no matter what time or day of the year, she's wearing a Spirit jersey. She and I are going to try to live stream our efforts at doing a 5K together remotely this coming Saturday, November 9th. So obviously, if you're listening beyond November 9th, that's not going to make any sense to you. And I do apologize. I want everybody to know this is really going to be a cool thing, because if you've ever seen a big guy like me trying to run a 5K, it can be quite entertaining. I'm going to tell you right now, warning, there might be some adult language, because if I get frustrated running, I might accidentally say something. Just going to let you know that right now. It's perfectly natural for me to get my guar out. You know what I'm saying? So it's really going to be cool. And of course, Jessica, starts off by saying she's wearing the new Donald sweatshirt now, because what would a day be without someone like Jessica wearing a Donald shirt? You know what I'm saying? Justin is actually back from the Wine and Dine, which is really awesome. Hey, Lisa, how's it going? What's going on with you? Jessica, nice to see you as well. And of course, there's Nick. Anna, nice to see you there. Deanna, good to see you, as well as Carol and Cheryl, which, hey, that rhymes, and Brian and Margie. It's good to see everybody here tonight. So while we're actually waiting for Danny to get out of traffic, and he should be here momentarily, I kind of want to say this. I want to say this with a little bit of humor, but also a little bit of, there's not even a really good way of putting it. In the category of, you can't make this stuff up. This is something that I find to be disturbing, and I'm trying to be, there's no way to be funny about it. Okay, I take that whole thing back. I'm trying to make a horrible thing sound funny, and there's nothing funny about it. Some guy got arrested for basically groping a Disney character at the parks. Come on, what is up with that? I'm normally not the kind of person to even bring stuff like that up, but you know what? This is just so unstinking believable. People have to really start checking themselves. Can you believe this sort of thing? I'm sure that a lot of you have seen worse. I'm sure a lot of you have seen similar, but come on. Don't ruin the magic, people. Now, I know none of our listeners would ever do anything like that. I know that for a fact. But man, the audacity of some people, I couldn't believe that sort of thing. And it's really sad that we even see things like that in the news. What kind of example does that even portray? I understand, if you're putting your arm around a character or something that you accidentally, maybe you brush up against their behind or something like that. Hey, I've had characters accidentally brush up against my behind, just because you're trying to, put arms around people when you take a picture and stuff like that. Completely innocent on either side. But this was just downright malicious. Come on. Oh, people need to be more #Walt-like. Remember what we talked about on Tuesday? Oh, yeah. It's just ridiculous. We need to set those examples, and at the same time calling out people who just do something that's just stupid. But we're not necessarily going to talk about that today. But I just had to bring something like that just to kind of get my little bit of venting out today. That poor character should never have had that type of thing. And speaking of characters, I mean, seriously, can you find a better character than this guy right here? He's all smiley. He's all ready for No Shave November. It's Danny.
Evening, everybody. Good evening.
So I know that traffic was bad, which is what I told everybody. But we're glad that you're here. And so, hey, I just happened to say I had to vent a little bit. Yeah, you missed me venting. So
about what?
Well, I got kind of frustrated and kind of just disgusted at the fact that somebody groped a Disney character, and he got arrested for it too. So that's
what
groped.
What character?
I think it was Ariel.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm like, really? I mean, that takes some cojones. Am I saying that?
That's an assault charge, brother.
You got arrested. Yeah, that's an assault charge, all right. Regardless if that person's a character,
That is assault.
that is assault. And I gotta tell you, man, some people like just want to ruin the magic for others. And
I mean, Chris is saying sad things. They posted bail and they're out. I mean,
oh, really? Crap.
I mean, you post bail. I mean, that's part of the judicial system. You have the right to post bail.
Sure.
And let's not, what he did was heinous, even in a joking manner. I'm not making light of it. At the same time, it's, I mean, the guy didn't commit murder, so it's not like we need to lock him up and keep him behind bars permanently until his trial. But at the same time, due justice will prevail, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully so. And I was, I just had to start off a little bit of something there because I'm like, man, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
I know, but you know what? We're not here to talk about that tonight, Danny. I thought we'd try to do something a little bit different because we have done shows in the past about bucket list items and things like that, and I kind of thought about this. In fact, kind of inspired through some conversations that my wife and I were talking about because we're starting to plan our next vacation with the family.
Okay.
And we were going to do a spring break trip. We have decided that we are not doing a spring break trip. Okay. That's kind of inspired by some requests that my son had. And
why? Do you want to go during the summer?
Yeah, he wants to go during the summer, but mainly because and this is kind of interesting. I'm glad he said something. He's like, you know what? I really like to be able to relax a little before the trip and a little bit after the trip, because during spring break, and we did this this year, 2019, it seemed like, you
get out of school, you go on vacation, you get back, you're right back in school.
Exactly. And he didn't care for that. In fact, literally, he got off the bus, went to the bathroom, hopped in the car. We were on the road. I think we were actually on the road before the bus got out of the subdivision.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how much we had everything planned. And he basically said, I don't like that. I love the vacation, Dad, but I really would like to be able to relax a little bit on both sides. Like, what? I appreciated his honesty. I thought that was cool. So we're planning it for another time throughout the year. But we also talked about how my son kind of expressed the idea he wanted to do something a little bit different. And it kind of inspired the whole idea of normally we wouldn't do this, but. And the idea is, what are some of the things that you've always wanted to do that might seem to be different, doesn't necessarily have to cost money, but doesn't necessarily have to be free, but something that you would not normally do as a part of typical vacation planning. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll start us off with a great example.
Okay.
I know a lot of people plan non-park days. I think one of these days I want to try just hanging out at my resort for, in essence, a full day and just doing nothing but lounging at the pool, dining at the resort. There are so many little things that you can do at the resort. I mean, one of these days instead of just doing a non-park day, I just don't want to do an anything day.
So on your non-park days, you do like this downtown and all that?
Yeah, we tend to go to Disney Springs. Maybe we'll resort hop or something to that extent. And even our non-park days, I have to admit, usually ends up with going somewhere for some kind of evening spectacular type of thing. But I'm kind of thinking back is like, man, there are sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm sitting on the patio, the veranda, whatever, with a cup of coffee in my hand, a granola bar to snack on, and I just want to sit there and do nothing. I just want to sit there and relax and enjoy. When my wife and I went this past July, I did that for a good couple hours, overlooking the golf course, over at Old Key West. And I got to tell you something. It was, yeah, we didn't leave the resort until 10:30 or so, which seems really late if you think about most Disney plans.
Yeah.
I had such a wonderful morning. It was such a relaxing morning. I slept in a little bit. I put my phone down. I didn't do anything with my phone. I just chilled. And sometimes I think that's something I normally wouldn't do, but I did it, and I did it kind of by accident, and now I want to do it again. I mean,
on a more frequent basis.
Well, it gave me an idea. It's like to sit around the resort, hang out at the pool, just sitting back listening to the music. I would say working on my tan, but let's face it, this doesn't tan. This goes from this color to this color really, really fast. So that's just an example of some of the things. And I hope that as we talk about this here, I hope everybody feels comfortable enough to maybe share a little bit of what they normally wouldn't do down in the comments. We'll share some of those here in a minute. So what are some of the things, I wonder if you have any ideas as to things you normally wouldn't do, but...
Well, normally would never do this because I physically cannot do this.
Oh, okay.
But, well, not physically, but logistically cannot do this.
Okay.
But I would love to arrive on December 22nd and depart like January 3rd. I would love to celebrate Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, all in one trip.
Okay, that's a goal. That's a goal that you're right. Logistically speaking, it's
for me. I can't do that with the current position I hold. Maybe in the future, if that position changes, which everybody cross their fingers. But until that day comes, that's impossible for me. And it's something where I wouldn't want to be away from La Familia during the Christmas and New Year's time. It's whatever. Some years we're with our families. Sometimes, we're not. Last year was me and Lindsay. So I'm going to, the Christmas part would be hard. Hopefully I can have them be with me. But if I couldn't, I would still like to do it once, to kind of wake up and just be in Disney and be like, oh, Santa Claus came to visit in Disney, I mean, on New Year's Eve, you're already buying expensive drinks no matter where you're going anyway. So having a couple drinks and eating at Disney doesn't really hurt the pockets as bad. I get that there's a lot of people and you wouldn't want to do it. I get that. Danny knows how to travel, though. I know how to avoid certain crowds and how to maneuver. And I didn't say I had to be in the parks. See, everybody assumed I said I had to be in the parks.
That's you bring up a very good point because you're right. The parks are bat crap crazy around that time, but kind of mixing what you're talking about with maybe what I just talked about a little bit. I mean, you can really blend that a little bit. And let's face it, judicious use of fast passes, you can still enjoy some nice time at the parks.
Yeah. And even if I'm in the park, doesn't mean I'm going on rides. I mean, last time me and Lindsay were there, we're walking by rides. She goes, you don't go on much, do you? And I was like, you know what? I've done it so many times. I just enjoy being in the park, be able to walk around, take in the sights, have some food here and there, have a drink here and there. I don't feel the desire or the need to wait an hour and a half for Peter Pan. I can walk by it, and the one night it was raining, it was right after the fireworks, and we're like, 15 minutes. Sure, let's do it. No problem. But outside of that, I'm very content just being out and about.
Well, it's interesting how you say that. And I think we need to make sure that all of our listeners have a little bit of quantification to this, though. I have to agree, because you and I have been so many different times. We don't necessarily feel obligated to hit everything that is normally hit. I know, we wanted, okay, great example, the food and wine trip we just came back from.
What did we do? Like 10 rides in 4 days?
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of rides, but we met a lot of people. We saw different shows. We experienced Galaxy's Edge, which that alone took a good period of time. And even with just one ride, between eating some stuff and hanging out, taking pictures and going at daytime, going back at night. And there were some things that we bypassed. We stood in line for Tower of Terror, and we had fast passes for it. Stuff happened. We're like, nah, okay, we'll go ahead and skip this. And we did something else. And we had a good time doing those other things. I realize that's not necessarily what
the average Disney goer can do.
Exactly. Because especially if you have kids who haven't been there all that much and they want to go do these different things, obviously you're gonna do Disney differently no matter what. And I completely agree with that. But yeah, I totally get it. And I have heard from some close friends of mine who have done that period of time, the Christmas break time frame. They still say, yeah, it's crazy. But if you go in there expecting it,
it's not as bad.
You set your mind to it. You're like, okay, yeah, I know I'm going to have to wait for a bus. I know the monorail is going to get crowded.
That's when you save up that extra pocket money and you just Uber.
Yeah, I don't argue with that anymore. I really
you can't.
I can't. I can't. I know that back when we first started talking about Uber, I was like, nah, I'm not going to take Uber. Why should I pay for rides? And I'm like, where's my app, baby?
Yeah. You got that link to the credit card. I'm ready to go.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of Uber, I want to throw this out there. Just a little public service announcement. Danny, you remember how I had a problem with my Uber app and I couldn't get it because when my credit cards wouldn't associate with it. It was very strange. I wasn't the only one having that problem.
Oh,
it's one of those cases where if you go to try Uber and your credit card does not seem to work, try a different credit card. And the reason why I even bring that up is that there was actually an article that I read, and one of our friends, Sharon, who watches the show, and it was one of those cases where there's some different banks that don't necessarily associate with Uber very well. And as soon as I tried a different card, it worked. So there's your little PSA for the day, that if for some reason you do try to Uber, of course, with Danny and I, convincing you all to do that.
How much I use Uber.
We should get a code where people can use. But yeah. So if you ever try it and you get a message like that, just try a different card. It's not anything wrong with your app or anything like that. All right. So, but yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and do that really well. So I think another one I think, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick peek at what some other people have said here. Chris actually says, doing our first adults only trip in April, 3 couples with no kids. And so like one of those things that they normally wouldn't do, they're going to do the brunch at the top, and monorail crawl. Here we come. I think
top of the world,
either top of the world or over at California Grill. Cause I think California Grill does have a really cool brunch. And from what I understand, yes, it's expensive, but if you're there as an adult couple, it could be a really, really cool thing. Again, I normally wouldn't do a brunch like that. But I would always want to try to do something like that. That is really a cool example, Chris. Thanks for sharing that with us. Chris, our local communications director, says our favorite thing to do is a monorail crawl, crawl the resorts during Christmas. Great thing to do because you get to see a lot of awesome Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
I will tell you this though. Don't forget to take a boat over to Wilderness Lodge because it has one of the most beautiful Christmas trees.
This thing's got to be humongous.
Oh,
that lobby is ginormous. That and Animal Kingdom have ginormous lobbies height wise.
Yes. And the cool part about it is that both of them tend to dim the lobby lights, and it's just the lights from that Christmas tree.
Yeah.
illuminate the entire room. It is a sight to be seen. Make sure that you go ahead and try to do that. Jerry does chime in and she says, "Hey, I learned to take a non-park day after my first trip to Disney and felt worse before vacation. Now, if I take a week, there are 2 non-park days, 1 resort day, 1 outlet day." There you go. You got to do that little bit of shopping there too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Let's see. Mary does also want to express that she would love to stay at Bay Lake Tower and just stay in the room for Christmas. I wouldn't bother with the parks, but I could see the fireworks and the hustle and the bustle. Yeah, that's a great. And also, I will say, Bay Lake Tower is really a cool resort. The rooms are nice and modern. I could see myself, especially in a water view room, overlooking the water and just chilling out. Yes, yes, yes. I totally dig it. Let's see. I'm going to catch. Here we go. Brandy also mentions I'd love to do Christmas and New Year's. Could always do a resort day for some of it. And at the same time, Carol does say, I would love to stay at Fort Wilderness during Halloween or Christmas and not even go to the parks. So yeah, we got a lot of people that actually kind of follow that lead. I will also follow up with this one last one before we go over to the next one. Joe mentions I don't normally take, let me try this again. I don't normally not take pictures during fireworks, but I'd like to just sit back and enjoy the shows without worrying about getting the perfect shot. Joe, let me tell you something, brother. I know how this feels. And I always get that little bit of an edge if I don't have my camera in hand during the fireworks shows and stuff like that. But I'll give this example with Rivers of Light. The first time I saw it, I was taking pictures. I was listening to it. Really had a good time. But it was a little lost on me. The second time I saw it with just my wife, I put my camera down and I just decided I was going to watch it. I was going to immerse myself in what was going on. And it clicked. And I understood the storyline of Rivers of Light. And still to this day, I will say I really do like that show, especially the music. So I understand that it is, again, not normally something I would do, but the resultant was really, really good. So another item under the category of I normally wouldn't do this, but one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I guess I could accomplish this with a non-park day. I want to go back out to the Kennedy Space Center.
Okay.
I haven't done it in a number of years, probably since my daughter was in high school. And I want to do it kind of more in the winter months, so it's not hotter than the hinges of Hades. And so that I can enjoy the things, because a lot of it is outside. So I'm not baking in the sun while I'm out. But I am a big, I'm a big air and space fanatic. If it's airplanes or if it's something that flies, I love that sort of thing. I mean, after all, I kind of grew up during the, space shuttle era, and my first trip to Florida included a trip to the Cape, and I really super enjoyed it. And I know that things have changed since I was there last, and I want to experience it again. And my son, who is also now more into science, technology, and things that fly and the space program, etc., I think he would actually enjoy it more too. So there's some timing to that I think would actually do pretty well. So that is one of the things I normally wouldn't do, because normally I'm at the parks or I'm on Disney property. I don't go anywhere else unless I'm with you or with Chris and his wife, stuff like that. I'm at the on property, stay on property. So
yeah,
but the Cape, I do that.
I would say something else I would like to do.
Okay.
And this comes down to reservations and money. It's a two for why I've never done it, because it's not impossible to do it. Listen, if Rudy from Crazy for Disney can do it, anybody in the world can do it. I'd like to go to Victoria and Albert's. I would like to experience it. It's a lot of food, a lot of money, and I would hate to drop that type of coin and walk out of there and be like, I'm disappointed. Now, I don't know many people from the reviews have really ever walked out of there disappointed, but I don't know. It just has always scared me. And I guess I've just been extremely lucky that I've never been able to obtain a reservation.
Sure.
So my speculation of what could be the outcome has kind of, kept me at bay.
Sure.
But I don't know. It'd be something that I really would like to do, but it's also one of those things where if money was no option, sure, but because money is an option, everything is extremely expensive enough to get to Disney and do things in Disney. I've always kind of been like, I don't know, man. That's like 2 dinners, price wise
for one person. I mean,
yeah.
You can go from expensive to, small used car very quickly at that place. And, if I was going to do it, I've always wanted to go to like the chef's table.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're going to do it, you go all out.
And I've had a friend of mine do it twice. And he said,
wow.
He's like, Chris, seriously. He's like, you've got to try it someday. The problem of it is that my wife is not an adventurous eater.
Okay.
So the fact of the matter is, yes, it's like something like 4, 5, or 6 hours long. I mean, it's like 300 different courses. Now, granted, each course is about the size of a big silver dollar pancake.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you get to try so many different things of so many different types of cuisine. I always think of the one line from the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, when at the very end he goes, "What do you mean we didn't have a good time today?" He goes, "We ate pancreas." Well, I kind of figure that the way that the restaurant is that, you're going to eat something that you normally wouldn't, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I figured it out. If my wife and I were going to go, we were going to end up dropping, gosh, probably with tip about $600.
Well, Jerry actually says right here, if you do it with the wine pairing with tip, now granted, I'm going to assume it's 2 people. I'm going to assume she tipped 20%, but she was close to $1,000. Yeah, like I said, if money was no option, and I am a bougie person when it comes to food. Wait till you see the wedding; it's going to be ridiculous when it comes to food. But $1,000 for one meal for 2 people is a lot of money.
That's a lot. And Brian mentions Victoria and Albert's isn't that much more than other 5 or 7 course meals in some places, which I do understand. And the thing is I guess you could say, I can't tell you the last time I experienced a multi-course meal outside of
standard 3-course meal.
Yeah, standard 3-course meal. To have an extra, 3 or 4 courses and taking up so much extra time. It just, and of course, costing so much money. And no, dining plans are not accepted.
Yeah. Nicole said you could save 20%. So, I mean, you could save, $200, but at the end of the day, it's still $800. Like Lindsay even goes, I would consider on our honeymoon, but never just because. Even on a honeymoon, $800?
I didn't splurge anything like that on our honeymoon. No, the biggest splurge we had is that we had a couple's massage at the resort that we were at.
Okay.
That was the biggest. And I would highly recommend, if you two want to have, a lot of fun, do the couple's massage over at the Saratoga Springs Sense of Spa. You guys will love it. Turn in your man card. Seriously, dude.
I get massages all the time. You always say turn in your man card. I get massages all the time.
Okay, then
don't bother me.
Go ahead and have your man card punched, I guess.
Yeah, give me another punch.
And by the way, Jerry did actually confirm that you are correct. It was 2 people with tip and
8-course meal.
8 courses that night. That's just
that's a lot of food.
That's a lot.
I don't care how small the portions are.
Carol kind of feels the same way though. She's like, I would feel nervous to go to Victoria's and Albert's. And Mary also said that she's done a 6-course meal in St. Augustine at the Casa Monica, and it was really nice. Brian also brings this up. He says, I highly recommend Tiffin Talks if it's happening. It's like Victoria and Albert's Worldly Edition with wine premiering and Joe Rohde for $250 each. And he's like, it was easily a $400 meal value that he got. That's a really good thing. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, it's one of those cases where, Vicky and Albert's is kind of like
You just call it Vicky.
I did. Vicky and Al's. That's it. Oh, dude, new T-shirt idea. Vicky and Al's. You know,
for the poorer folks. Everything comes in a wrapper. You warm it up in a microwave.
Oh my gosh, it kind of sounds like
it's gas station burritos and coffee.
Sounds like staying at a home 2 hotel from Hilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have hot breakfast, but you kind of have to heat it up yourself.
You cook it yourself.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's worse than going to a fondue place, because at least you know then.
I just had this conversation yesterday with a buddy who went to Melting Pot, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was complaining because like one of the tables, they tell you like there's only one burner, so the entire table has to decide on like the same cheese or the same chocolate. He's like, I spent like $200 and I had to cook my own meal. He's like, they just brought me out raw steak and I had to grill it. He goes, I easily could have went home and did this for a lot cheaper. And I was like, yeah, next time you want like, you know, melted cheese or something, come on over. I'll charge you $100 a head and I'll melt it all for you right in front of you.
I'm thinking to myself, would it be cool if Disney actually had a fondue restaurant though?
No. Imagine what they would charge.
Well, I didn't say it would be a perfect plan, but you know, could you imagine like dipping vegetables in not just cheese, but the cheddar cheese soup?
Nicole broke it down. She was saying it's not that much, especially if you get the discount. This is full price, fixed price. 7 course is $185. 10 course is $235. Victoria's room is $235. The chef's table is $250. Wine pairing start at $65 in the dining room, $105 for Queen Victoria's room, and $150 for chef's table. But look at it this way. So say you went to the big table, you went to chef's table, like we both said, you and your significant other. That's $500 right there for the meal. Okay. Then you wanted to do the wine tasting. That's another $300. You're at $800. A tip at 20% is $160. You're at $960. You're at that 1,000. She said, you know, like Jerry said, you're right around that 1,000. Now, granted, I get it. Let's say it's really only 800 and you're taking 20% off. That's $160 off. So it basically covers the tip.
It does. That's really what it does. It covers the tip. It really
That's
is.
Still, even if you walked out of there tipping all 800, and that was without tax. Remember that. So I don't know. Does Florida tax for food? Yeah, right. They tax for food. They don't tax for food?
No, they would probably tax like for beverages and stuff like that. Probably.
Oh, Jersey taxes for food. But all right, let's just call it $800 straight out the door for one meal. I don't care if it's 10 courses. I'm getting 10 little samplings of wine to go with each meal. $800?
Dude, we didn't spend $800 for our entire room when we were there. You know, we only spent $600 for the room that we're there for 4 nights. It's
all right, but you Nicole said skip the wine. Fine, skip the wine. You're still at $500
plus tip. Which is
we'll assume that's the tip is the 20% off if you've got Tables of Wonderland. $500? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I've spent $500 in one night in Disney on drinking, but I was sloshed for like 6.5 hours. This is going to be me very uncomfortable with food in my belly for like the same amount of money. I don't know.
You know, it's one of those cases where it's definitely a normally you wouldn't do this but type of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and like if we go, we wouldn't get wine because neither my wife or I drink wine at all. I mean, seriously, if I'm going to drink wine, it's got to be mixed with something. You know, Diet 7.
I drink wine, but it's a very particular wine. Lindsay would like the wine, but I don't know.
You've got good taste in wine, though.
Thank you.
You do. I was when you got at the Food and Wine Fest. I'm like,
yeah.
Here, Chris, hold this. Oh, okay. Fine. Oh my gosh,
that's good. And it'll make your cheeks red real quick.
It make my cheeks really red, but that's a whole different story altogether. Albert does comment. We'll go on to the next one on after this because I think I'll go on a Disney cruise and get fine dining for multiple days. I will tell you this: I thoroughly enjoyed dining on a Disney cruise. I really, really did. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as fine dining, but it is very, very, very good dining. You know, it's not, it's your standard, you know, your standard going out type of thing. But is it a Victoria and Albert's? No. Now, can you go to Paulo or Remy? I think they still have them. Yes, you're going to get a very much upscale fine dining experience at one of those, and it's only a small upcharge per person. Although I will tell you this, I love the dining and the cruise lines, and I would almost go just for that. But you know, that's again for a different show.
Off topic, real quick.
Sure.
So the last week when we were talking about Disney Cruise Line, so after the show, I got off and I started doing my research because I was like, maybe we'll do a honeymoon like that, right? And I was like, I don't know. So I decided to check Royal Caribbean just at a whim, right? Do you know that Royal Caribbean has 2 rooms on their big boat right now that are not only 2 floors, they have 3 balconies. They've got a grand piano in it. It is 2,500 square feet.
Oh my gosh, that's bigger than my house.
It's bigger than my house. That's 2 of my houses, essentially. And on top of that, why don't you take now, granted, you get everything. You get all the excursions thrown in. You have any upscale dining. You have your own private sun deck. You get unlimited liquor. You get unlimited everything. You basically are royalty. Guess how much it is a person, though?
Oh,
it was a 7-night cruise.
Okay, 7-night. I'm going to take a wild guess per person.
Per person.
Okay.
Pre-tax.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's 20 grand per person.
$24,000. Basically, it was almost 25 grand before tax. It was like 24 and 7.
For one person.
For one person. So think about it. For you and your significant other. Now, granted, this is a big room. You don't need this much room for 2 people. There's multiple beds in here. You're talking about 50 large.
Just for putting point of reference, my truck didn't cost 50 large.
I joked with Lindsay. I was like, I can borrow out of my 401k. It'll take 20 years to pay it back, but I can do it.
I was gonna say, how fast did she hit you?
No, she knew that.
That is ridiculous. But I guess that's a thing you normally wouldn't
do. That's why I thought it was fitting.
But here's the thing, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole much further, but I have to ask, how many people does it sleep?
I think like 8.
Oh my gosh. So you can easily sink down, if you had 8 people at 25 grand a pop, you can actually sink 200 grand on that room for everybody and have a 7-day debauchery fest.
Yeah.
I didn't spend 200 grand on my house, and I'm still in it 14 years later.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a reason why there's only 2 rooms on the ship. So my question is, do they leave them up empty? Or like, do they pick like a random family, be like, surprise? Like if it's empty, or they just say no, like we're leaving it empty. Because if I'm Royal Caribbean, I would do that. I would push to get it rented, but more than likely, even if let's call it, say they do 4 sales a month, which that's probably pretty accurate what they do. 4 times 12 is 56. No,
4 times 12 is 50, basically. It's 48.
Okay. So,
yeah.
48. Think of it.
Yes, 48.
Okay. So think about that. I mean, granted, all they have to do is probably book it once, and they hit the jackpot. Now that's 48, and then there's 2 rooms, though. So think about it. They have a lot of opportunity to fill the room, but that means there is a huge number of trips that room sits empty, unless they don't, do something magical and give it away to somebody. But I don't know. It was just something that like kind of kept me up that night. I was like, oh, I wish I was rich.
Dude, you went down a rabbit hole,
Oh,
man.
I did. I did.
Oh, I mean, that's
I
like,
wouldn't even like everybody's like, what would you do? I'm like, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't care about going to the Bahamas. I'm staying in that room the entire time.
oh yeah, I would be all over that like nobody's business.
But
And
which brings me to my last one I have, because as we
okay,
wrap up here, my last one would be, if we're talking about never, but maybe I'd like to, it would be the Disney cruise. Um, I just have a tough time swallowing the pill of the price
sure,
compared to, said other cruise lines. It's just, I mean, you're talking about double. And I know people who say that you basically get double the service, essentially because you get treated like royalty on the Disney
right,
cruise lines. And I don't doubt that, but you can't tell me the food's any much better. It might be slightly better, but you can't tell me it's that much better, because cruise lines have notoriously good food. And let's be real, they probably share at least some point or another or overlap similar distributors. I mean, I have distributions, obviously, cooked differently and different chefs and all that. You know, it's just a lot of money to get a slightly better or even above average reception from that boat compared to going on another cruise line. I do trust Disney, and there's certain things where if I ever traveled overseas again, I would do through Disney because I trust them.
sure,
But when it comes to cruising, it's hard. Like, it's like saying, oh, you could do Rome for $5,000. Oh, but Disney charges you 15,000. Like, is there a $10,000 difference in between what Disney offers you compared to what you can do on your own? And that's a cruise line issue. Is it worth double the price? Is it worth me paying $3,000 for everything I want on ship X? Or is it worth, $6,000 for me to do that same stuff on a floating hotel with Disney? I don't know.
because it's hard. I have to say this. It's hard for me to make a justifiable decision on that because I've only done, I've done 4 Disney cruises and loved every one of them.
Yeah.
And it's one of those cases where I don't know if I would want to do another one from another one because I'm going to constantly be
Comparing.
comparing. I hate to say that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's kind of I think
It's like owning a Mercedes and all of a sudden you have to now start driving a Honda. They both get you from point A to point B, but the level of what you get in that Mercedes, it's not that the Honda is a bad vehicle. It's just that the Mercedes gave you different things.
Yeah, it's one of those. It is one of those cases where it's like it's the side effect of doing Disney branded things first, and I really do believe that. I mean, like, okay, you go to something like Six Flags Great America as a kid and stuff like that, and you have fun and this, that, and the other, and then you go to Disney, and then you're like, wow, this is pretty, epically awesome. Then you go back to something like Six Flags, and you're like, yeah, this isn't really what I'm used to now. You go back. Well, unfortunately with Disney, you just, you go full bore right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those I'm going to put this up on the screen because I think it's a little bit of a chuckle. Danny needs to build up the podcast so Disney just invites him on cruises. Brian, what do you think we've been doing?
Do you think we just do this for grins? I'm tired right now, and we changed the time.
I know we're trying to make things better so that we can do that sort of thing. And John goes, either way, you got to do a Disney cruise at least once. And I totally get it. Brandy, who's our friend over at Mickey Adventures, hey, give her a call. I bet you any money she can do us a good deal on a cruise, type of thing. If we really wanted to do that, we'd have to check that out. Different people have different opinions. Some think it's worth it, but others don't. Disney cruise is definitely more upscale and great, but it depends on what experience you want. That's key, I think. What kind of experience do you want? Your experience that you're going to want is going to be different to what I want.
Yeah.
With family, I think if you're with family, I think Disney is going to definitely be that extra, than say,
well, it's also your group. Like me going on a Disney cruise with you would be perfectly fine, but me going on a Disney cruise with Nick and Jess, I think that level of how we hang out and things are a little bit different. You'd want the more of a debauchery on a lesser ship.
You're absolutely right. If we would do something like that, it would be a different form of fun.
Yeah,
it would be different expectations, etc. Going with a family with kids, Disney, I think, is the first choice. I think most people would realize that, and it's going to be different because I think the next cruise I do, I have a feeling John might be considered an adult. Yeah, no, that's so scary. Let's not go there. It's one of those cases. I mean, obviously my daughter is now an adult. The last time that trying to sit here and think, oh my gosh, was it the last time that we went, she was 17? Has it been that stinking long since we've done a cruise? It is time to book another cruise, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
So let's hope that let's hope that tax refund looks good this year. But yeah, it is just really kind of crazy. Well, let me give my
last one. Yep.
My last one. And I'm going to, believe it or not, I am going to stick a little bit here with a nautical theme. This is definitely one of those cases I normally wouldn't do this, but
Grand One Yacht.
Yep. You know me. I mean,
we all thought it.
Yeah, we all thought it. But the thing of it is, seriously, there have been plenty of times that I thought that if we got a group of people together that would be willing to spend, to split the costs of it. If we got 10, I think it was like 75 or 80 bucks, actually spend, the evening on the Grand One for happily ever after, and have some snacks, have some drinks, and really live it up on that yacht for a couple hours. I've always wanted to do it ever since I got to go on that ship, that yacht, and really kind of peruse it. Oh my gosh, I would always want to do that. And I can't necessarily do it by myself. Now, maybe one day I will, and maybe one day my wife and I will, have a fireworks cruise with a really nice dinner for the two of us. And yeah, I would probably end up dropping a grand on the grand type of thing. That would definitely be something I wouldn't do. But
it's actually not bad. I just looked it up. It's a 52-foot Sea Ray.
Yeah.
Guests can enjoy private dining and a butler amenities. The spacious watercraft accommodates a total of 18 people or 17 if you're traveling with a butler, which if you're paying for it, you get the butler, kick someone off. Choose an evening cruise of breathtaking views of Magic Kingdom Fireworks Spectacular with synchronized audio from the onboard speakers. Rental price for the Grand One yacht starts at $3.99 per hour plus tax. Pricing may vary based on time of day and is subject to change. That's not terrible.
No, as I'm saying, it's not bad. As I'm saying, even if you had 10 people, each person puts in, as I thought, I was good, very close with my estimate, 75, 80 bucks, maybe $100 if you want to put a nice tip or some other extras in there.
$400 divided by 10 is only $40 a person.
No, but you got to have, I think it's a minimum of 2 hours.
Oh, okay. So you do.
I don't know if they said that when I talked to them, they said it was a minimum of 2 hours.
Yeah. So just figure $100 a person. You figure it's going to cost you $1,000 by the time you tip out and tax.
But the thing of it is, it sounds like a lot of money, and let's face it, it is. But if you haven't done it, it's got to be an experience to be had. So
what are these like? What do you get on it though? Like you have a butler, so are they serving you a meal or?
Well, it's someone to be there to take care of you, basically. Someone. You obviously you're going to have a captain of the of the yacht itself. That person's going to be responsible for overall safety and driving you or sailing you around the water, this, that, and the other. And, the other person is going to be there to serve you if that's the case, or they'll have it probably self-serve. I would love to have someone there basically take care of us if we do a cruise like that. And, the fact of the matter is if we do, I know you and I talked about it, and we know it's not going to happen in 2020 because, hey, you're getting married, bro. And so 2021 is probably the time where, we're going to have probably a Behind the Ears podcast meetup, official meetup. And we very well might just have to do this, with, I'll say 10 or 15 people. We'll try to keep the cost down to see Happily Ever After float around and just say, yep, we normally wouldn't do this, but we did. I personally think that would be something that would be really cool. And Jessica basically goes ahead and says, oh God, give Danny a butler and a captain and it's going to go down.
Yeah. I'm trying to read it here. The price is $5.20 an hour. So when was this written though? This was an article written by All Ears, which this was written in 2012. So the price went down, which is surprising. This person's saying the price is $5.20 an hour plus $33.80 of tax. We did not tip the captain and the first mate. Oh, we did tip the captain. The boat goes out a half hour before Wishes. Oh, Wishes was at 8 p.m. We were told to be at the marina by 7. Most of us got there by 7 or a bit earlier. All right, tell me. So they had a cake. They said you only need a butler if you're getting hot food.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to find like a menu or something, but it was kind of hard. Maybe Brandy or somebody can dig that up for us.
It would be an interesting thing to do. As I said, I was really close this past for our spring break time that we all went to. I was really tempted. I mean, because it would have been me, you, Lindsay, Kathy, John, Nick, Jess. I mean, 7 people right there. But it's still expensive by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But if you plan on if you're going to do a special event, that is definitely something that you normally wouldn't do, but you get to try it. And people, and Nicole said, people loved it. Nicole said she'd do it. Okay, so we got one. There we go. And, I think that would just be really cool. Oh, funny part is Kylie says, I mean, a boat captain can marry people. So if it's a legitimate boat captain and not just a watercraft driver, ha ha ha, that's okay. Kylie, we can marry people too. We've done it.
Listen,
and they're still married. So we
have a deposit, a non-refundable deposit. So that boat captain cannot do anything for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, I really enjoyed this little chat. This is definitely some different things. And I think if nothing else, it could inspire people to think to themselves, hey, there are some different things that you normally wouldn't do. And it doesn't always have to be something that's, a financial stretch or that you have to save or a splurge. There are definitely things out there that you can do to have fun with it. And, everything from something that's really chill and relaxing to something that's really exquisite and possibly a one-time, real, true, once-in-a-lifetime thing. Think about it. Next time you plan your trip, try to figure out something that you wouldn't normally do and see if it works out in your plans. Talk to your family about it. I bet you any money they'd be worth giving it a try. Yeah. Danny, any last words?
Well, that's it for me, man.
All right, let's do this. You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WTW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home.
With that being said, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. Once again, we go live every Monday and Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Facebook and or YouTube. You can catch our podcast anywhere podcasts are caught. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention it, so please go over and join the WDW community Facebook page. With that being said, I hope you all had a wonderful time viewing us tonight and or listening, depending on which one you're doing. But it is Wednesday, so this is our time to bid you all a farewell. We hope you all have a safe and wonderful weekend. Anybody getting snow in the next couple days, try to stay warm, wear those extra layers of socks, and always check on the elderly and your pets. With that being said, don't forget, tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts. I need a list. I need this. I don't know. Make sure you don't put your milk in the back of the fridge because then it gets too frosty. With that being said, I am Uncle Danny. Until next week. It's true. I had it this morning. It was terrible. It came out chunky and it was brand new milk, so it was not bad. It was frosty. Frosty milk.
If nothing else, we're known for our accent. Hey, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us once again. Listen, we have a blast doing these shows, and we do it for you. You guys really give us the feedback we need in order to help you guys just have a wonderful time listening to us. And by all means, keep that feedback coming. We definitely want to have those two-way conversations with you. We love you guys. Thank you very much for supporting the show. But until we meet again, we hope you have an absolutely magical day. Take care.
Baba Booey!